We've got more to talk about. Like, we're in the final week of the Esports World Cup. So right now we're going to recap week 7, the second to final week, and then we're going to go into what games to watch and expect this week in week 8 of the Esports World Cup. And of course, when we're doing our update on the Esports World Cup, we need to update you on the club points. One of our favorite pastimes of the last 2 months has been this, and we're coming into the home stretch. Team Liquid rounding out second place pretty solidly, and Team Falcons very forwardly in first place. Here we are, 4,400 points, still holding strong. Team Falcons hasn't really changed. Team Liquid has crept up a little bit, but I don't think they've got any more teams left to field and shoot that gap, trying to break that distance, the lead. But when we look at T1 in third place, 1,600, it's not really a lot of points for medals and whatnot. Nick, I know we're looking at this and it's pretty same conversation that we had last week, but what are your thoughts right now? All right. I think we lost Nick for a second.
I just disappeared.
Yeah. But we still got you on voice. We still have you on voice.
That's fantastic. Let's do it. Okay. So anyway, it's pretty dope. You can see, hey, look at me. So you can see it's pretty awesome that Team Falcons remained at the top because of how many hands they had in that cookie jar. But Team Liquid staying strong right there. They didn't have as many in general. Even the focusing is off. What are you talking about? T1 only had I think it's actually crazier that T1 was only participating in 3 games. I think it was 3 games. I think it was Tekken, Team Fight Tactics, and League of Legends are the only things that they participated in, and they're in third place. I think that's pretty that's solid from them, as an org. And so I think that's pretty cool. And I just wanted Team Liquid to not be third or fourth for the most part. So I'm getting my wish. I said no one was going to touch Team Falcon. It was statistically impossible for Team Falcons to lose first place.
Right. And we were talking about how Team Falcons maybe had the edge because I believe they're a Saudi-based organization. At least they have a lot of representation in the leagues over there, the Saudi leagues. Team Liquid T1 had definitely more of a limited roster organization across all the games. I think there was 21 games total, maybe 23 if I recall correctly. But the focus here is seeing now that FaZe Clan is bumped up to 6th place, and with 1,100 points, that's 1 gold and maybe a silver or a bronze, tied for bronze. If I take a look at the standings specifically,
600 is gold, 600 for gold. I think it was 500 for silver,
right,
or 400 for silver.
Right. And looking at here specifically, FaZe Clan got 1 gold and then other placements. So seeing a 5th or 6th place, they got 60 club points, which then attributed to that. So for literally just placing 1 gold medal, it was interesting to see. 1,000. Yeah, it was 1,000 points, but that will net them roughly 6th place unless something changes this week with the games we're watching coming up. Real interesting in that way. Whereas Team Falcons, this is all the games that they played. This list is so much longer. They had 3 people playing in Street Fighter 6. They had a team at EA Football Club. They've got a team in Call of Duty, et cetera, et cetera. The rest of the teams, really don't have that sort of representation. Liquid is probably close enough. Gaming Gladiators has less than half. And then, we keep going down. It's 1 team in Alpha 7 that was playing in the Esports World Cup. 1 team on Rainbow Six Siege for Team BDS. So it really is shifting the mentality and of the esports. They're trying to, but then it's also showing the flaw in that sort of system of things. Nick, we've got you bouncing around a little bit. I was also hearing you as a little bit of a robot prior, so I wonder how much of that is internet quality, whatnot. But we're going to just push through. Let me know if I need to stop or repeat, and I'll do the same to you, okay?
Sure.
All right, awesome. All right, yeah. So club champion points, it's pretty straightforward. It looks like in this final week, Team Falcons is going to run away home with it. You know, that ratio of gold medals and placements versus not placing seems to be about 50-50 for that. But, you know, they're also running a ton of teams for this. Team Liquid probably walking away with second place. Hopefully nobody catches up on that, because just one win from a gaming, well, T1 really is going to knock them down, but I don't think T1's playing in anything else in the tournament here in the final week.
Yeah, I think like the most interesting part is maybe we might see more big organizations buy up smaller organizations that actually have players for certain teams. I mean, for certain games, or teams for certain games. I think that would be pretty cool if you could just like, if you get one team you're really, really good at Street Fighter, and then you just sell your team for like in its points for a couple million or something like that to FaZe Clan or somebody, who knows.
Right. And quickly, I just want to try to look at the club championship prize pool for EWCH. But I have to spell it correctly. Club championship prize.
Yeah, I think it was like 10 million. Because the whole thing was 60 million.
Right. Oh, it's going to award 20 million total. So let me bring this back up real quickly. The club championship right here. Club Championship, an innovative cross-game competitive format unique to the EWC, will award 20 million to the top 16 clubs based on their overall performance. Which, I mean, just looking at the standings a second ago, you've got sixth place, only won one gold. So just winning one gold medal might put you in contention to like get part of the 20 million here.
I mean, you'll definitely, if you're top 16, you're definitely going to get part of that 20 million. But it does look like the number one place is probably going to get like 10 million. Like, it's going to be like 10 million for first, 5 million for second place, and then just the rest of it is thrown out to the other participants, because it goes all the way down to 16, man. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, and it feels like a fighting game thing, you know, top 16 prize pool, top 8, you know, but 20 million is a lot of dollars, and yeah, it would make sense that the first place walking away with 10 million, and that, to me, that almost makes it worth it. Like, you could gobble up some smaller organizations underneath the banner of one bigger organization for $10 million in hopes of placing, but you know, we're seeing that the mountain of Team Falcons is pretty tall right now, and they kind of sniffed this out a lot earlier, so we'll see if anybody else catches on, we see if it's worth it.
I mean, yeah, they're the Saudi Arabian team, right? Organization.
I believe so. We can do a quick verification on that. Team Falcons.
The organizer, you know, the prime minister, the prince, right? He could just be looking for a rebate. He's like, yeah, my guys, get all your people together. Win all of these, at least get a bunch of points in these games. You'd be able to win the 20 million. You get 5, I get 5 back. That's great. No, they don't need it.
Yeah, no, we're confirming. It is a Saudi esports organization founded in 2017, fields multiple esports rosters, yada, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And this is saying it was founded by the winner of the 2018 FIFA World Cup. That's a weird. Okay. But yeah, anyway, it is a Saudi-based team, so they probably had a little bit more insight into how the club championship points are going to work and what it's going to mean. They're definitely going to benefit from that, looking to walk away with a large chunk of change if nobody overtakes them, which, spoilers, they're probably not. But, you know, it's Team Liquid's probably also going to be walking away with a good chunk of change on that one. All right. I think that's a great place to wrap that part up, and we're going to move into a recap of the games from this past week. Week 7 recap of the EWC, and we had 3 specific games we were taking a look at. And the first and foremost here, big congratulations to Jafonzo. Actually, let's break it over into EA Sports Football Club, the format, what was going on here, because that's what we're going to be doing, going over the rules and the winners of First and Foremost the Football Club. All right, this was a best of one match with 9-minute halves. Group stages had 16 players split into two groups of 8 players, played round robins. Top 3 moved on, and then next few were put into a comeback vengeance sort of stage. The vengeance stage has 6 players that had double elimination, so kind of interesting in that to think, Nick, where you have a double elimination in a loser bracket moment, but the top 2 fought to get back in. Basically,
it's pretty tough calling it a resurrection stage. That's hard as hell, dude. That's some death metal shit, dude. You're just it's the resurrection stage over there.
I don't know, man.
Losers go there, it's Phoenix Rising, man.
Right. It feels like it's possibly we both sipped the tea on that one, but it feels like it's, I don't know, it's either EA PR marketing, or it's somebody who's we're not losers. We're going to be resurrected like the Phoenix. We're going to come back and we're just going to rise to the top. I don't know, man. Top 2 advanced back into the playoff bracket, and then the playoff was single elimination with the top 8 players finally. We see here, first place, Jafonzo, as we kind of saw earlier, winning $300,000, taking home the prize. Young from Brazil taking away second place at $150K. Then we got Finns and Abumaka, third and fourth place respectively. Team Falcons showing some placement here with 90K, third place, fourth place finish here. I'm going to bring us down into the brackets, especially that resurrection stage here, so we can kind of take a bit of a deeper look on that and see if it was meaningful. That resurrection stage, it was not a loser's bracket, if it was a winner's bracket. It seems that Abumaka did get knocked down into the resurrection stage pretty early, and then made it out of qualifiers there. And then otherwise it's Manu Bachuri. Nick, how would you say? You're more of our diction person here.
I have no idea, dude. Manu Bachur.
Let's go with that. Manu Bachur taking a victory over Bonanno 10-1. I'm no soccer player, but that is baseball scores. That is high.
It's probably Bachuri. Manu Bachuri.
I don't
know, maybe.
But
that's going to drive me nuts.
Yeah, if you know what it is, make sure you correct us. Let us know what's going on, because this is the first time we're seeing a player username like this, and we want to make sure we're doing our best for that. But Manu Bachuri taking a 10-1 victory over Bonanno, and which is pretty dominant, making it out of the resurrection stage. Then we go into the playoffs, where it's back to single elimination, no losers bracket here. Manu Bachuri getting bumped off almost immediately by the person who eventually won the tournament as a whole. And we can see our other guy, Abumaka, beating Nicholas 8-0 in that first round. Probably just had his number, but then getting himself knocked out by Young for that finals match, that semifinals match. All right.
Yeah, it seemed like there was 4 people out of all of this that really were the top contenders for it, because of how well they dominated overall, right? Young did pretty well, Jafonzo did pretty well, Abumaka and Manu all did pretty well.
I sort of agree. And I'm taking a look at these stat lines, the scores here. In the resurrection stage, a lot of the games are pretty close. Maybe that's showing just the outlier of the strength of the player. I want to head up into the group stages to take a look at the scores and the differential. Jafonzo was plus 16 in goals against everybody else. Nicholas was also plus 16 in goals for them. So there seems to be huge differentials here at the extremes of top to bottom. So I wonder about the skill level here, if it's kind of spread around, if it's a little bit of a roulette wheel a bit, because it also these guys who get knocked into resurrection stage, was it just unlucky because of brackets, or was it they had a bad day kind of stuff? Because one of them ends up in third and fourth place, walking away, but they're still getting beat 7-2, which doesn't look good as a stat line. And that's what I'm saying here is like, it's pretty weird. The differential of goals scored for these guys who won are pretty astronomical compared to the goals against, or for the people who even third or fourth place. All right. Kind of interesting to see, kind of a fun thing to look at and wonder about. If you know a little bit more about football club and the tournament style, I think this is one of the biggest tournaments there are for this. EA doesn't really sponsor a lot of things. I know they had to do some closed league stuff. I think FIFA actually stopped sponsoring the league, which is why they switched over to football club. So if you have any insight and you've a game that you follow and you're passionate about, let us know what the meta is, what you feel like the meta is, if it's a specific team, if everyone's picking Messi or they're going Ronaldo, or if they just doing something else with like a fantasy draft style, let us know. We'd love to hear about it because these scores seem pretty wacky, but you know, it'd be like that sometimes, right, Nick?
Is of football club or FIFA just in general, to even like know what they're doing besides just like thinking that it's just a, you know, the soccer version of Madden. Like that's all. That's my thought process because I've played Madden.
Yeah.
Like I never played a soccer game. So, but definitely cool. The prize pool is crazy to me, like overall.
Well, overall, too, these games don't fully represent like their traditional counterpoints. They do, but like how you end up playing it and think about it ends up being slightly changed with strategy and whatnot. Like this is a huge callback, like probably not totally relevant, but just like how Techno Bowl, like Bo Jackson was predominantly the guy, and it was the guy because he was just faster. The stats and the physics for him were better, and like that's like just game design from that scale of things. I know they've modernized with EA sports in general, with football, with Madden, with soccer here, EA FC. But I wonder how much does it matter if you have a Messi or Ronaldo on your team? Does it matter if you have an Mbappe on your team? I'm sure in some degree it does, but then like maybe it's more about what the players can do with a controller and their understanding of the physics in the game, which makes it more akin to a fighting game, but you're fighting with 12 individuals, 12 on 12 or 11 on 11, right?
What's the wave dashing for football club? Like what's their glitch mechanic in the game?
Right. There's got to be some sort of like frame cancellation for the bicycle kick or whatnot. But, let's head over into a game what might be a solved game for the players who know the code and know the game for nearly 2 decades now in StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 at Esports World Cup worked pretty much like this. There was a main stage of 16 players separating into 2 groups, 8 players each. It was double elimination brackets with a best of 5 series each. The winners advanced into the final 4, and second place would play a group match, and the winners of the second place matches would advance to the final 4. Then there was a knockout stage where 13 of the players and 2 of the qualifiers would then compete. Interesting that it was a 15-player situation for a single elimination bracket, best of 3 here, when then the finals of the knockouts were best of 5, and then the winner advances into the final 4. And I think this is where the math ends up mathing. Final 4 was a best of 7 single elimination, and then the grand finals was a best of 9. So this might have been a slog, Nick. It looks like just by format wise, you start off with a best of 5, you scoot back into a best of 3, and then slowly creep up into a best of 9, man. Number of matches were all over the place, but maybe it's also to ensure the quality of the best players getting time to play and do the best they could.
This StarCraft is a crazy game because it's been out for so long, but there's so many different like strategies, and the way the players play is like very different, right? So like there's only 3 races to really pick from, and like which one you pick depends on like what strategy you're going to use, unless you came up with like a new strategy. I mean, like Scarlet comes up with, it feels like a new strategy like each month, where I get to see like a new video of like, oh my God, Scarlet's new strategy. That's like changing the way certain players do things.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of talking about. Like, this is a solved game almost. You know, they figured out the coding, they figured out the frame glitches or how you can increase your APM as much as possible, which is insane at this point for this game. The players who are able to do it are able to do it, and like it's really sort of dictated by those three races that you're saying. This also, like, I know we're more of like Super Smash Brothers players, like with the history and stuff. This is so reminiscent of Smash, where it's like you have this one equation, it's a solved equation, and then out of nowhere somebody comes in with that like off the rope sort of strategy that might just be like, what are they smoking? And it turns out they've been cooking the whole time and they just figured it out. And like, StarCraft has had those moments over the course of history, and you know, there's a lot happening. I don't think there was a moment here during EWC. I think it was pretty straightforward, but we're going to take a look at that right now. Nick, before we head into it, do you have any thoughts to prep us?
No, like there's StarCraft is much like what you were saying. Like it's, I don't compare it to Smash, but I do compare it to like chess, where like, you know how you're supposed to start as like whatever race, like, you know, they should be doing this, they should be doing that early, but it kind of came down to the point where like certain strategies they're like, they might be noob strategy, right? But they're not really like a noob strategy. It's like, I'm doing this because everybody already knows that we're going to do, like, we do this. And it happens in chess like all the time now, where like certain openings and stuff are just stupid. They're just not, they're not smart whatsoever. And it's literally only because like it's so controlled and so known on like what players do and what they can do and how efficient they can be, that like you need to just go like, no, we're making a base over here. Sorry, still one of your minions made a base. Like, now I'm making Protoss units. Get wrecked. Like, as like in Zerg, like this is like stuff that's like literally going on throughout this game. So it's really, really cool in that sense, where it's so uniform already, but they're breaking it because of how uniform the game had gotten over the past bunch of years.
Right. And I think that's where we see a lot. I feel like I see a lot of Smash Bros. Similarities, because it feels like it's a solved game. Like, this is what you need to do. And it comes down to the execution of it and like player errors. And like the best players won't make that many errors. But then on top of that, you know, the mind games. It really ends up being about, you know, feinting here and poaching there kind of stuff. And what you expect, breaking the tradition, perhaps, you know. And it seems like Clem had their thumb on it, basically. They knew exactly what to do, because they walk away with $400,000 and first place, a member of Team Liquid. Congratulations, Clem. Cyril walking away with 150K, something we've talked, a player we've talked about pretty recently, not in depth, but I know the name has come up. And then third and fourth place, two representatives from South Korea, Dark and Hero. Congratulations, third and fourth place respectively, 80K total prize. Yeah, a bit of a visual error because a scale on my end, but you know, MVP was Clem. How do you award an MVP for a single player game though, Nick? Like, this seems a little bit weird. Like, is it going to be guaranteed the person who walks away with first place? You're just going to give them an extra 50K, it seems like?
No, because I didn't get a chance to watch all of this because of everything that's been going on for like the last, you know, month with all the games and everything, plus the Olympics. But no, like, it's just no. Like, even the person who like loses could be like the person who's like an MVP because of like a new strategy that they might have done, how entertaining the game might have been, how well they controlled their micro, right? Just like their little battles, right? Like it's so weird in StarCraft, where your micro is and macro are both extremely important, just like in like other games, but small little tiny movements of how you do these micro, like I'll call them transactions in battles, right? Like these little micro transactions of damage in these fights ends up being crazy. And it's why these guys end up like winning, is how they handle these very unique micro transactions. So let's say it again. Boom. Like,
no, that's a fair point, but it's a little like counterintuitive, right? Because the most valuable player is the player who created the most value, and generally you get the most when you have the most value, you win. So like, it feels productive or counterintuitive if the most valuable player is somebody who lost, unless they lost in the final round. But here we are, Clem as number one. They did walk away with first place. They walk away with the MVP, an extra 50K. It just, like I said, I wanted to point that out because it did feel weird to me. EWC is putting MVP awards in every tournament. It just feels weird in this 1v1 sort of fashion. And like, I wonder what their judgment and basis and thought process is with that MVP here. Because it could have, like you're saying, maybe that micro and macro was more important for somebody else to get to it. But it seems that they agreed that Clem was the person who created the most value. All right. As you were saying, it generally looks like there's only 3 factions that were played overall that are competitive, Terran being the most here.
There's only 3, you know that, right? Like, I just want to make this clear. Okay, all right.
It's been a minute, but we can see the difference of like play, and it seemed that like only 4 times Protoss were played, whereas Terran was played 9, Zerg 5. So it's kind of interesting in that regards of what's seeing is valuable. Nick, can you just enlighten me? I'm not too sure if I remember correctly, but we could do a mirror match where it's like Protoss versus Protoss, or does it have to be different factions?
No, it could be the same. It could be the same. Like the easiest thing to like know is that like Terran and Zerg are, I don't want to say like easier to use. They tend to just have like less numbers that like get broken out of hand. Like I remember in the beginning of like StarCraft 2, Protoss was just like heavily favored with certain units, and they just had to get like nerfed into oblivion and stuff like that for certain like strategies. Mm-hmm. So, usually it just ends up like, Terran's a good one. Terran is really good. Zerg's really fast at doing certain things, i.e. Zerg rushing, right? It's like, and then Terran's usually more of like the tempo. And then, the late stage stuff usually tends to be in like Protoss because they have more like singular units when they're building stuff as compared to like Terran that has like, 2 units built on this, or, 1 vehicle that can count as a bunch of different units, stuff like that.
Right.
And then Zerg has, 5 units per.
Right, and it is a little bit like a fighting game where the character selected, the faction selected, is going to dictate strategy, the capacity of strategy. But either way, looking at the brackets of the group stage, we do have some representation from the US, NA all day, but it didn't seem like they got far. They did come out of the upper bracket quarterfinals, got into the semis, and knocked down by Dark, who eventually got into the Final Four, I believe. Yeah. The stat lines here all look pretty straightforward, pretty normal. I'm not really seeing any outliers, any sort of names, just the dominant players are being dominant. A lot of close matches. I'm sure at this sort of level too, the players know each other really well and know strategies and mindset. So that's where you get a lot of the mind games of just like a close sort of this. And like I said, there's a lot of games that were played, man. Like look at this is just the second bracket, the knockout bracket. I want to bring us into the Final Four where it's, overall where we saw the numbers come through. But by the time we get here after the knockout stage, we're in 4-0, 5-0 territory. Clem taking it over Cyril for 5-0.
The matches are about 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
They're usually not very very long. You know what I mean? Like, so it makes sense when you're like talking like best of 7, that's, a match for League of Legends or Overwatch or something,
Yeah, no, I agree. And like the amount of stuff they're able to do, and like that's a lot of the name of the game, how quick and how efficient you can be with this stuff. But still, like you're talking 20 minutes a game. Clem played best of 9. He won 5-0 against Cyril for first and second place respectively. That's still almost 2 hours, right? And like that's kind of what I'm saying. It's a lot shorter when you're doing a best of 3 earlier, right? 2-0s, best of 3. But like I'm saying, there's a lot of individual matches getting played, and this seems to be as much of a gauntlet as it is a tournament sort of bracket here. Just sitting around waiting, doing this and that for it. But that might be another mindset thing, another meta, in-person meta kind of aspect of it, where the players experiencing it. I'm not to say it's any less fun to watch and whatnot, but it might just be another one of those challenges to be the best in the world here.
Hey, Billy here. Wanted to take a quick minute to let you know a few different things. If you enjoyed the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps us out and it tells the algorithm to share it with more people. You can find the Esports Meta live every week on Twitch and YouTube. It's where we film the podcast or hang out, play games, and chat. If social media is more your vibe, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or Twitter if you use Threads. Does anybody use Threads? This is a video game community that's excited to talk about esports, so jump into the conversation. Of course, you can find more videos like this here on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button right there or there. Thanks for watching, and let's get back to the show.
StarCraft's intense, dude. I legitimately do love watching it, because it is very much like you need to know what your opponent's doing and you need to react to what your opponent's doing. Unlike, even League of Legends and stuff like that. Like, that's like one of the coolest things of, like, in the game, you have to know what they're doing. You have to scout. You have to make sure that you're informed. Otherwise, you're just going to get stomped down, in general.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I am not good enough at this game to even, comprehend a lot of what's happening. And this is a game that's been out for such a long time. So it is nearly a solved game. So I definitely agree. I definitely could I become flabbergasted overall because I don't know where to go after this point. Because I'm going to bring us up a little bit, just watching a little bit of the VOD, I don't totally know what's going on when I'm looking at it. I understand the scouting part. I understand strategies with the different factions and whatnot, like just on a base level. But these guys are doing colors. I'm colorblind though, so it gets a little tricky.
That's true. That's true. so the green ones right here, these green ones, that's an inside joke for anybody who knows Billy. These green ones over here, Billy, are fighting the red ones that are right there. It looks like. Yeah. All right. No, but basically that's what I was talking about when you pulled the clip up right there. Basically, that's the micro play of pulling and pushing units and getting them and pulling them out of position. And then look at that. That's just trying to pull people away. Right. So you have the hydralisks. I think they're hydralisks. The quality's a little meh from what I'm looking at. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get information, but also trying to pull these units out, just move them. Yeah, those should be hydralisks.
I can understand the bigger strategy of things, but what I'm saying is I can't necessarily identify what's happening in the moment of things, because again, I struggle with colors, but the pace that this happens on, the actions happen. You can look at the bottom right hand. You literally look at how fast they're moving, and it's efficiency, it's mind games, and it's just actions so quick, so fast, so persistent, for sure. So that's the thing that definitely intimidates me with a game like StarCraft. But I love to hear about it. I love watching it as far as the strategy goes, but I do have a hard time overall following and understanding on that. Nick, any final thoughts on StarCraft, or can we move into our next game?
Now we can move into it. It's a shame they won't make StarCraft 3, but StarCraft 2 is great. Anybody who hasn't played it, go ahead and buy it for $20 and play it with your friends against computers or something. It's a solid, fun game, especially 3. I like the 3v3 format just in general. I don't like singular.
There's still a ton of people playing it too after all these years.
Yeah. Plus there's modded rooms and stuff like that. This is where literally StarCraft and Warcraft and stuff like that, these engines are what made MOBAs today. So, just try them out. They're fun.
Yeah, it's not just the engines, it's also the brain power. These are the people and the thought processes of the game and game design that ended up making League of Legends and Dota, etc. But I think on that note, let's switch into the next game that we're going to update you on, recap a little of what happened in the past week, which is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. The EWC tournament just occurred this past week, like the other ones, but we're going to run down what the format was and then congratulate some winners and look at the prize pool. So this was a 4 groups of 4, best of 5 similar to the GSL. Top 2 of each group advances. And then this is pretty straightforward. We go right into a playoffs, best of 7 single elimination bracket tournament. And the grand final ends up being a best of 7. So first to 4 wins. Nick, how much of the, what is it? Is it the CDL? Or I'm thinking of something else? Call of Duty League? Have you watched? None?
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen
like absolutely none.
I've watched some games here and there through the season, have some connections to some of the teams, but you know, Call of Duty has always been a fun shooter, but it never felt like I could translate it into the competitive stuff. But that's different here. Of course, EWC is a big competitive. These players, these teams have been able to translate that, and we're seeing some familiar team names, organizations right here, first and foremost. Nick, anything you want to pinpoint or point out before we start off congratulating, looking at the prize pools?
No, I mean, like, this is Modern Warfare.
Yeah, Modern Warfare.
Right.
3.
So this is like arena shooter kind of situation, not battle royale. Right. Like, yeah. I'm not sure when it comes to like these tournaments, like when it comes to Call of Duty now, I don't know if it's going to be battle royale or not. And like, I just don't know anymore. Like I've been so out of touch on Call of Duty. Like I'm not the biggest fan of where it is and where it ended up. So, but it's always like interesting to watch, like as all shooters are just in general.
Yeah, and it's pretty straightforward when it comes to like objective and goals here, right? But congratulations, Atlanta FaZe taking away first place, 600,000. I think you see a lot of FaZe Clan stuff generally online and whatnot as an organization. It's hard to tell if they have a lot of like wins and representation in anything other than Call of Duty, but they seem to be making it happen here at the EWC, taking a name 1,000 club points and $600,000 away. 100 Thieves, also another strong social media organization there to brand and lifestyle, but you know they still got some teeth on them. They're still winning some tournaments, playing some games, walking away with $320,000 and 600 club points. Optic Gaming and Vancouver Surge. I think Vancouver Surge is a carryover from the CDL, not CWL. I'm thinking of something else, but they're going away 3rd and 4th place and $160,000 richer overall. All right.
Congratulations, Drake. Drake just won $300,000 for his organization.
Probably
100 feeds.
Probably betting on that too.
No, you know he's like half owner, right?
Yeah. Was it Valkyrie
like,
part owner of 100
owner.
Thieves? I think Valkyrie is also part owner of 100 Thieves. But yeah, you've got, you know, a bunch of different.
Nate Shot and Drake.
Let's take a look at the quick playoff bracket here. Optic Gaming over Cloud9 3-1, FaZe Clan over Optic Gaming 3-1, and FaZe Clan walking away over 100 Thieves 4-2. Not so much one-sided, but kind of. And then the bottom half, Toronto Ultra, 100 Thieves, Vancouver Surge, and Royal Ravens all coming close in that first quarterfinal match of it with 3-2 match scores. But then you get into 100 Thieves just over. They had Vancouver Surge's number. There's no question about it. 3-0 in them, and then getting 4-2'd at the end there. Pretty straightforward. It seems pretty competitive, and then it seems maybe longevity on the games kind of wore them out. Maybe the better teams knew how to run it, how to play, how to pick. But congratulations to Atlanta FaZe walking away with that money.
Yeah, congrats. It's so much money for like these tournaments, man.
Dude, absolutely.
So much money.
All right. So now is the time we're going to look ahead to this week of EWC. What's going on, what to watch. We're going to make this one pretty quick because there's a lot to get to still. And we're going to basically start us off with this week. You're watching Rocket League. I know I'm going to be. Rocket League is hands down one of the most exciting esports out there. And of course, with the prize pool at the EWC going to be so large, we're going to be seeing who makes the plays, who gets the explosive MVP award and walks away. So the format here real quick, 16 teams that are going to be divided into 4 groups. All matches are going to be best of 5. The top 2 teams from each group are going to advance into the playoffs, and the bottom 2 are going to be eliminated. pretty straightforward, round robin sort of style. Playoffs are going to be single elimination. Let me try that again. The playoffs are going to be single elimination bracket, and matches are going to be best of 7. They're going to be fighting for a total prize pool of $200,000, $80,000, and $40,000 in first, second, third, and fourth, respectively. And of course, that individual player, because we know there's a lot of egos in Rocket League, and generally for the better, that $50,000 MVP award of most valuable player in the organization, man. Let's run over the teams that are going to be competing this weekend and maybe try to do a shot in the dark. But I generally feel like Rocket League can be anyone's game. It is so competitive at the highest levels, and we do have international representation here. We have international co-mingling, so it'll be cool to see how they match up when sometimes they don't necessarily play together, but be fun to see. So Nick, stop me if you want to make a comment or a note about any of these teams, but I'm just going to run through. We've got Gentle Mapes, which I believe had won previously early this year, one of the big majors for Rocket League. Team BDS, Team Vitality, G2 Stride coming in for North America, specifically Canada and the US. Gen G Mobile One Racing, also from Canada and the US. Space Station Gaming, also coming from the US. So 3 specific teams invited from there. 3 teams from the EU. What's up?
It's It's an on that third row. On that third row, I think I see the winner.
Let's get to it. We're going to be PWR Power, coming from Australia. Chiefs Esport Club, also Australia. Furia Esports, Team Secret. Then we've got Team Falcons, Twisted Minds, Gaming Gladiators, Exo Esports, Limitless, and the Nicosi Ballers. What are you staring at, Nick? Who do you see winning this? Just shot in the dark.
Team Falcons is going to win. Team Secret needs to change their logo. Just in general, probably go with Thoth instead of like an Eye of Horus kind of look, but like whatever, guys. Like Team Falcons is just going to, like, I feel like they're going to win, right? Like, are you kidding me? Why are you switching me up, camera? What's going on here? No, I think like Team Falcons, I think it'll just be like the winner, just because obviously they need more team points in order to win everything, right? In order to really prove their dominance in the club aspect of the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that's overall tough, right? It's highly competitive, highly flashy, very, very technical, with a lot of strategy. The team play strategy is a huge part of it, covering the back rotations, etc., knowing when to boost, when to not to boost. I don't know how much representation. Sorry. I don't know how much I've seen Team Falcons at the majors earlier this year. I would probably put my money on something else. But this could be anybody's match. This could be anyone's tournament. It's going to be a real fun one to watch. You can watch along this week, ewc.com, esportsworldcup.com, as well as their YouTube page. You can live stream it and watch all the explosive action for Rocket League specifically. And I do feel like it's anyone's match, anyone's game. As we get Nick bouncing around the screen, man, it is one of those days.
I have no idea why. I'm looking at a speed test of 250, 250. Like, anyway. Anywho, I'm
going to bring us over to the group stages. Let me make sure I'm in Rocket League. Yes. Okay. Group stages. This is first and foremost what the teams are going to have to fight against each other and try to get out of. In Group A, we've got Power, Limitless, Team BDS, and G2 Esports. In Group B, Team Secret, Exo Esports, Gen G, and Team Falcons. This one might be maybe the group of death for this tournament, because these are names that I have seen working it at other majors, but we'll see what happens if they show up to Radaya. Group C is Team Vitality and Nicosi Brawlers, Twisted Minds, and Furia. And then Group D, Chief Esports, Space Station, Gaming Gladiators, and Gentle Mates Alpine. Might be a soft, easy bet to go with the Gentle Mates, because I believe they had won previously a major. So like that might be a soft, easy bet to move on.
Maybe. Who knows? I'll bet on Team Falcons because they got the most points in org. So that's who I'm going with.
All right. All right, nice gentleman's bet between the two of us. We'll see who and what happens as we watch along this week. And another game we're going to be watching along this week is going to be Tekken. I know you've been talking about Tekken this entire time. I can't believe it's taken 8 weeks for us to even get to Tekken, but we're going to run down what to be looking forward to this week while watching Tekken and the format. Nick, before we start on this, any initial words for Tekken and people who may not know Tekken and why they should pay attention to Tekken?
Honest to God, like Tekken is one of the best fighting games to legitimately watch. Like compared to Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, like, and this is no disrespect on those games, like watching them compared to Tekken, like they're trash. Like Tekken is great as far as like a competitive esports standpoint for the viewer. Like it's I don't want to say like down the earth. It's just not too flashy, but it's definitely intense and it's definitely got a nice appeal with how fluid it is and how the movements work and everything like that.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely some wise words and definitely some wisdom that people can look for and look at when they look at this tournament. So the format and how it's going to work this tournament is going to be 8 groups of 4 players. Each group plays a double elimination bracket. Kind of interesting. All matches are FT2. What is that? Is that a first to 2?
First to 2.
So it's best of 3. Technically, right?
No, because you can time out and stuff like that, and you can draw. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like it could just be like a stalemate match,
right?
If like you're both at the same health and everything like that. So
Gotcha.
First to 2.
Yeah, you know, wording to me feels a little bit specific, nuanced, but I'm sure they know what they're doing with that. Top 2 players from each advance into the second phase. Remaining players are eliminated. The next phase, 4 groups of 4 players, double elimination bracket, first to 2 again, and the same deal. Rinse and repeat. Top 2 players move on to third phase. Third phase becomes a single elimination bracket, and all matches are going to be first to 5. Definitely interesting. Definitely going to matter a lot when it comes to seeding and who's going to get placed and whatnot. Let me bring us down into the prize pool first. First place is going to be $300,000. So these guys are going to be competing and aiming at that $300K prize pool. Definitely a healthy chunk of change because the next highest prize, that second place, is less than half, only $140,000 for second place and $75,000 for third place. That feels off as far as numbers, but you know, might be on. Anyway, I'm going to bring this actually over into a much cleaner page so we can take a look at the groups. Maybe not. Let's do over here, actually. Let's just take a look at who's competing, the teams that are attending. TYH, Esports, DRX, Fnatic, Yamasa, Vero, Kwangdong Frex, Nadas Vincere, Twisted Minds, Big Clan, Team Falcons, your boys, Regal Zabatsu, Dragon Esports, Zeta Division, T1. T1 might have some push power here. Get out of third place, get into second place. Blacklist
Don't do it.
International, don't do it. Don't do it.
I want Team Liquid to be in second place, man.
Team Vitality, Ashes Gaming, Fate Esports, Ninjas in Pajamas, AG Global, and Kadasia Esports.
I didn't know Nip was playing. That's good for them. NIP, you know?
Right, yeah.
The Nips.
I haven't seen that organization out and about in quite a while, but good to see they're still working it here in Tekken overall. Man, with fighting games, it's going to be tough. There's a lot of groups happening. You know, take a look at this. It's going to start tomorrow, Wednesday, the 21st. The matches are going to ramp up as we get through the weekend, and they're going to be getting into that final playoff bracket, I believe, Sunday, to try to play for that prize, that overall $300,000. Makes a big difference first to second. And even placing in top 12, top 16, you're walking away with some money.
Bro, they already got it set up. We don't even have a fourth place. 6, 7, 8. It doesn't exist. Just played. They already know. They already know. But yeah, dude, the prize pool is great for this. Like it's all the games do pretty well for like their prize pools for the most part, except for like Dota and Rocket League have like prize pools compared to what they normally have. Like Dota, not really, but like, you know, it should be more. Anyway, but these are like solid prize pools for a fighting game. You win $300,000 is it's crazy. And then not only do you like solidify your standing as you know, the best fighter in the world for this, you possibly get, you know, picked up for your Olympic debut next year in Street Fighter. You don't, I mean, in Tekken, you never know.
Yeah, right. They're not just playing for the prize pool here. They're playing for reputation. They're playing for notoriety, because this match could mean a lot. This tournament can mean a lot in the future. And that's a lot of fighting games in general. You're not just fighting for right now. You're fighting for your future here. For how competitive it is. Absolutely. So I think that kind of sums it up, and we'll have a lot to talk about next week as we recap it. So make sure to join us next week here at the Esports Meta. We're live every Tuesday, or you can check us out on YouTube/social media, where you can catch clips of us at the Esports Meta. All right. I think that's enough for that topic, EWC, and it's time to get to, man, we're already an hour in. We just have so much to talk to, dude.
So much to talk to.
So much to talk to.
So much to talk to, indeed. Absolutely, my guy.
All right. So I'm going to move us into our next
so
topic.
What do we got to next?